So I think maybe, should I just go ahead and start, Maryellen?
Yep, should be going.
All right. Well, welcome. Welcome everyone who might be watching. We're not really sure who's out there, but if you are out there and you're watching the very first ever live stream of the Big Body Story classes. If you're new to InterPlay, InterPlay is an active, creative way to unlock the wisdom of the body. And it's really rooted in a bunch of practices, improvisational practices, using storytelling and singing a voice and movement. And a big body story is a particular kind of story that's one of the forms, what we call forms in InterPlay, where we might combine anything from stories to sounds to movement, mixing all those together. The stories that we tell today are all improvised. So people are making up stuff on the spot. And the stories could include any combination of those things. So the way we do this is each person has 5 minutes to tell a story. Randy has a bell that he's got to ring. Oh, I should introduce myself. My name is Phil Porter. I'm one of the co-founders of InterPlay, and Randy Newswanger and I have been teaching Big Body Stories classes for since the pandemic began. So we've done over 200 of these classes. And so we decided to experiment with this, and we're really grateful to Maryellen May, whose idea was to try the live stream and who's done a lot of work to do that. And she's also serving as kind of the host for the live stream. If you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, you will be able to take part in the live chat as well. And part of our process, the way we would normally do this in a class, is that after each story, we do a little bit of reflecting in the chat box about the story. And the way we're going to do it today with the live stream is maybe just put in 2 or 3 or 4 words that come to mind in relationship to the story. That might be bits that you pull out from the content or some reaction or anything, but we'll just keep it brief. And you should feel free too, those of you who are watching, to do that as well in the chat box. And Maryellen, after each story, we'll read some of the things that we've written about each story, and we might read some of the things that you've written as well. So feel free to say hi, to identify yourself so we know who's there. And so you'll know who else you're watching with. But we're really glad that you're here to witness this. So these stories really come from our own experiences. So there's little bits of little pieces of ourselves, and that's the plan. So again, each of us has 5 minutes. We're going to go in this order. It'll be me, then Jennifer, Randy, Celia, and then Angela. So I'm up first, and unless anyone has any other words, I'll begin. So, I learned to drive a tractor before I learned to drive. This makes it sound like I'm a farm boy, which I'm not really. I grew up in Bloomington, Indiana, which is a college town. My father was with the university, but my grandparents had a farm. So I grew up in the southern part of the state. They were up in the northern part, but it was only 3 hours. So we would go up there a lot, and we would spend time on my grandparents' farm. So one of the things I remember that we did was that at one point they would cut down the something or other. See, this is how much I know about farming. I'm not even sure what they were cutting down, but it was, some of the grassy plants, that were growing, and they would cut it down, and it would form into bales of hay, which would then get plopped down in the field. And then someone would have to go through and pick up the bales, bring them into the barn, put them on the conveyor that goes up to the barn loft for, the rest of the winter, whatever. I don't know. I know nothing about farming, but I did learn to drive a tractor. So there was this big, long, it was kind of a sled. It didn't even have, I don't think it even had wheels. It just had these big kind of logs, you know, because this was a really long time ago, but it wasn't before the invention of the wheel. But anyway, it was just this big, long wooden sled, and it was pulled behind the tractor. And me and my brother and my cousin Randy, we would drive the tractor around the bales of hay, and the older men, my grandfather and my uncles, my dad and my uncles, they would have these big hooks. You know, think about the hook that Captain Hook had. It was kind of like that, just this big baling hook. And they would go and they would pick up the bales and they would put them on the sled, and they would pick up another bale. They'd put it on the sled while we were driving our way through. And then we would drive that right up to the barn. There was a conveyor belt. I'm sure it was a really great idea to let young people drive tractors. I think that was a great idea. You might think it was a questionable idea, but I think it was a great idea because, like, I couldn't. Well, I did later drive a riding lawnmower, so I was ready. I was ready to make my first money cutting yards in my neighborhood on the back, you know, and I'm sure it's all related to my upbringing on the farm. So even though I kind of had this Midwestern middle class college town upbringing, my people, the people I think of my people, and you know, I don't know a lot about my ancestors really, but my people were these farmers. They were men who, when they took off their hats, their face would be really tan and their heads would be very, very light colored white because they had farmers' tans. That's where they got that, farmer tan. These were my people, the people that let young people drive the tractors around the fields, picking up the bales of hay to put in the barn for the animals. These were the people who were steadfast and humble and stolid. And, you know, my particular branch of the family didn't drink. I think that was a real advantage in my family, that there wasn't a lot of alcohol. They were good, solid people who knew their way around farm implements. And take a deep breath and let it out. And those of you who are witnessing, if you want to just put a few words in the chat box. And maybe we'll let the storyteller read them out loud. And if you're watching in a live stream and you can do the chat, you can put in a few words or phrases if you'd like. Settling and comforting. Stolid, my people. I remember the farmer's tan. This made me really think about my father and grandfathers. Tractors and hay bales, family history, and who we are. My people are steadfast, humble, and solid. Yeah, thank you. Everybody take a deep breath. And let it out. Thank you for witnessing that story.
Thank you, Phil.
Okay, Jennifer, you're up next.
It started with just a little bit of curiosity. Just a little bit of curiosity. So I'm getting a divorce, but this is not a divorce story. Because that's just not really a story I want to tell. But not to minimize it, divorce sucks. But I'm through the sucky part. And I highly recommend grieving. I highly recommend. This is not a divorce story. Well, maybe a little bit of it is, maybe not, I don't know. I highly recommend grieving. I highly recommend just grieving, because even if you both want it to end, it is a loss. I highly recommend grieving. And knowing that grief, you know, you can't predict it, right? Because I'm like, I'm already done with the grieving. And then Florida happened and the hurricanes went to Cape Coral, and Cape Coral is, you know, a place where we had this really wonderful vacation. My husband had these points and we stayed at this hotel, this beautiful hotel, like it was like a suite, and like that's not normally what we got to do. And it was during the election, and it had just come out like Trump had just been caught with this the tape that he's gonna grab by the pussy. And we were like, oh my God, this guy's going down. We are on the beach. We are on the beach. This is not a divorce story, or maybe it is. Good. You can't predict these things. So Trump, he was gonna go. And we were on the beach. On the beach, we had this balcony. There were pictures. There were boats on our balcony. And I sent a picture to my sister with me and my little feet up and my coffee and the boats. And it was just, we had there it is, right there. Grief. That was good. I've always been a romantic. Since 7th grade. Dane Zucchero. Oh my God, Dane Zucchero. The 7th grade in rural Ohio. Dane Zucchero listens to Luther Vandross and Kenny G. Oh my God, Dane Zucchero. Oh my gosh. And we were going to Washington, D.C. It was a class trip, right? We were going to Washington, D.C. And Dane Zucchero, I want to sit in the back of the bus. Dane Zucchero, oh, Dane Zucchero. Dane Zucchero got together with my best friend on that trip. It sucked. It's the 7th grade version of sucky. Like it just sucked. We were in Washington, D.C. and it just sucked, and every bit of it sucked. In my 7th grade self was like, he was supposed to be mine. What did that mean about me? So here's the really cool thing. And if I had time to tell you a whole other story, I would. Because I'm doing online dating. Not for sissies. Rejection, mismatches, ghosting. It's insane. But after the first few, I'm laughing. And I'm so delightedly rooted in the truth that, there will be the one for me.
And take a deep breath. And we'll put a few words in the chat box. And Jennifer, do you want to read them?
You want me to read them?
Yeah.
Grief, sucky experiences, and truth. Having grief, relationships, and challenge. New possibilities. Laughing and crying, it's the same release. Yes, the release and the vigor that arises. Love the flowing of romance, the sucky of rejection, and the importance of grief.
Thank you. And Maryellen, I forgot to ask if there were any notes in the chat box from the first one or this one.
Well, from this one, there is a delay, but so far we have cheering out loud, fabulous repetitions. I've always been a romantic. He was supposed to be mine. Every bit of it sucked. Utterly captivating. I second loving the repetitions. Your profile poses so powerful. Oh, Jennifer, beautiful story. Truth, grief, there it is. So, we have so far.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer, for telling that story. Okay, Randy, you're up.
I think this is a mystery story. This is a kitchen mystery story. It's not like Clue. Well, actually, it is going to be like Clue in a minute, because earlier today I did see a mouse on my countertop, which, it's going to be a mystery. Why was the mouse on my countertop? There's nothing over there. Now, I don't know if you had any similar experience during the pandemic, that when food was on sale, or even when it wasn't on sale, you felt like the future was uncertain, and so you bought a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know if you had that experience, but my pantry got so full of stuff I could call staples that could stay there forever, that 3 weeks ago I went into my pantry and I opened the door and I took trip after trip after trip from the pantry to my kitchen counter, so I could see everything I want to eat. Mostly it was so I could see I don't want it to be in my pantry anymore. Today's adventure was a lentil stew. And I picked up the bag of lentils from the kitchen counter, and it had just been 15 minutes earlier I had seen the mouse run across the counter, and I started hearing things. It was just this little tinkling sound. It's like I stopped, and I bet the mouse is here somewhere, and I just stood there with the bag of lentils, and I heard this tinkling sound, and then I turned around, and the tinkling sound moved, and it was no longer on the counter, it was on the floor, because there was a hole in the bag of lentils where the mouse had chewed a hole in the bag of lentils, and they were slowly, like sands through an hourglass. And I quickly scurried that bag over into the trash can. Now later tonight when I take out the trash, I do admit, so one could potentially eat the lentils from the top of the bag where the mouse has been chewing at the lentils at the bottom of the bag. But there's always the chance that the mouse crawled right up in there. Like, it's this question of contamination. Later tonight when I take that bag out, because tomorrow is trash morning, and so when I take the bag out, I'm going to have to take that bag of lentils out of the trash can and take it over to the compost pile and then just let it... But then I'm going to have to explain to my brother and sister-in-law with whom I share the compost pile why there are perfectly good uneaten lentils in the compost pile. And it's all about the mouse. I do have a couple of live traps. I have a couple of live traps which the mouse seems to not be going into. So as I mentioned, there's these mysteries. What was the mouse eating? It was eating those lentils. And now I'm sure that section where the linoleum curls up right at the edge of the dishwasher, I'm sure a whole bunch of those lentils bounced right down under there. And some maybe bounced right under the stove. And so I just feel like I am still sharing those lentils with that mouse. And I hope that mouse is grateful for the few short days it has left to be grateful. Because just like the board game Clue, it's gonna be the mouse in the... I mean, I guess it's the who did the killing. Randy in the kitchen with the spring-loaded mousetrap and a walnut. Unless I decide I can just get along with the mouse. But you've already heard how much I'm not willing to eat lentils that have been touched by a mouse. So you can guess the ending to this story.
And take a deep breath. Let it out. And we'll put some notes in the chat box.
So here are some of the words from this room. Cohabitating with the mouse. Short lives. The end is near. Do you really like lentils? Tinkling lentils. Mouse contamination. Randy in the kitchen with the death trap. Today's adventure was a lentil stew. Sheer enjoyment throughout. Lentils tinkling like sand through an hourglass. Ha! I was taken on a journey of the short-lived tale of the mouse. Not sure if I got them all or not, but Maryellen, are there any from the live stream?
There are, and they're still coming in. There's a delay, but I'll read here right now.
Yeah.
So expressive. Love the mystery framing and the mischief. Great mystery story. Tuning in from down under. Great to see you all. I can totally relate. I'm still buying too much food. Love the detail about the lentils in the bag and on the floor. Yeah, the hourglass sand image. Loved this mystery story. Randy in the kitchen. Loved your deep voice when you said contamination. Me too. Toxoplasmosis. Love the hourglass.
Yeah, thank you.
One more. I was on the edge of my seat with you till you decided to kill the poor little fella. Best live trap ever equals cats.
Yeah, thank you, Randy, for your story.
Thank you.
Okay, Celia.
I have to agree with Jennifer that grieving can actually be incredible. My dad died in January, and this has just been such a rich time. A rich time. A rich time. A rich time to examine myself. Who am I because of him? Who am I because of him? Who am I because of my dear sweet dad? Like, it's this ongoing journey I'm making where I just notice things in my personality or behaviors or words I use or approaches to life, and it's like, oh, there he is, there's my dad, there he is, there's my dad, there he is, there's my dad. The one that drives me a little crazy though, like really kind of annoys me, is when I am doing my exercise class. I take this class called Nia. I do it over Zoom. And when I get really moving and I'm really, like concentrating, and then I just notice my mouth is doing this thing. Like I got this little thing going on with my mouth. And it just flashes me back to my teenage years, and I'd watch my dad and he'd do this thing with his mouth, and it grossed me out. Ew, Dad, ew! With your lips like that. And so every time I'm like exercising, and then I'm like, there's my mouth is doing that dad thing again. Dad, why did you have to give me that thing? Why did you have to give me that thing? And he gave me puns, which is a mixed blessing. I mean, I love them, but not everybody does. Oh, well. But my favorite thing I got from Dad is curiosity. My dad was just curious about everything, and I cannot compete with the breadth of his curiosity. But I am interested in a whole lot of stuff. And I know like a little bit about a lot of stuff. And I really notice this when I'm teaching, because it's like suddenly these words are coming out my mouth about things that I didn't even know that I know. But it's because my brain has just been like interested in so much. And the last good thing that I got related to that is like this need to tell everybody about the newest thing I'm interested in, because that is definitely a thing my dad did. But I hope the thing that I am most like my dad is encouraging people to do what they love and what they're good at. My scientist dad wanted me to be a theater and music major in college because he knew that's what brought me joy. And I never felt anything but loved, accepted, supported, and liked. Like, parents love their children, but parents and children don't always like each other. My blessing is I liked my dad a lot, and I know he liked me. And that is all part of grieving.
Take a deep breath and let it out. And we'll put some notes in the chat box. Celia, do you want to read the notes?
So, a great tribute to your father and to your love. What dads give us, how great it is to be loved and liked. The journey of grief. What a joy to witness your dad enlivened in you. Funny how they visit you in so many ways. He liked me, resonated deeply. There's my dad, there's my dad, there's my dad.
Great. Maryellen?
Still more coming. Your story injected with song and the harmony of him and you. Super yum. Loved your voice and your dad's. Curiosity and encouragement are good qualities to have. Bravo. Make the face. We like it. Love hearing with your dad. I agree with Jennifer too, Celia. Grieving, transitioned loved ones, former husbands and lovers, Randy's mouse. Oh well. I love your dad. Beautiful full circle reflection. Resonated with dad. Why did you have to give me that? Thank you for your story, way of expressing this, Celia. Your story made me think so much about my mom. Yes, love the little ditties that found their way into the story. I liked my dad and I know he liked me. What a gift of tribute to your dad and your journey of grieving. The gift of curiosity, yes. Embarrassing things dads do with their faces that we inherit. I also indicate with my mouth. A wonderful take on grief and celebration. Thank you. Loved the dad song. And yes, you have taken in the gift of encouraging others.
Thank you, Celia, for your story. All right, Angela.
You know, I come from a generation of worriers, but you wouldn't know it from my movements. I'm walking or I'm running along the railroad tracks in San Rafael. I do that once a week when I visit my partner. And up on the telephone wire, there's a turkey vulture about to alight. And it's on the wire, and it's like it's bouncing up and down. And it's trying to find that balance point Will it land or will it take flight? And then I'm walking and I'm running along the path in San Rafael. And there are the blackberries, but it's late fall and they're shriveling. In the past, I ate the berries, and they're not like the berries you get at the store, all plump. They're a little bit smaller and a little bit hairier and much seedier. And now they're shriveled. And I'm seeing how I am part of an ecosystem, because what I encounter, like the vultures, the turkey vultures and the berries and the sort of like the season of life I'm in, the berries are getting a little bit wrinkled and not quite as sweet, but still sweet. And then I continue running. And then there's the acorns, there's the oak tree, the huge oak tree, and these acorns, these with a point, and they're brown and they're glossy, and I look for 7. I find 7 perfect ones to bring home with me. And I put them in my pocket. And then I keep running. And then I see the white egret. And it's preening itself. And then my eyesight isn't so good. And there's this brown bird right next to it, sort of just standing there, just not moving. They're right on this piece of log. And the egret is white and the bird is brown, and the brown bird is just solid. And the white egret is like doing whatever it needs to do, maybe picking off whatever is on it. And I think parallel play, that's what I do with my friends and my partner. And then I keep on running and running, and then I see the California quail. With, its little top knot, and it scurries into the bushes. And I remember following a whole quail family for hours and hours in Golden Gate Park, and how they know how to hide under bushes. They don't have to take flight to find safety. And I think sometimes it's okay for me to hide too. And I'm running and running. And I pass this guy I see once a week, and he's wearing his AirPods, and we sort of glance at each other and acknowledge. And right now we are part of this ecosystem. And what do I contribute? Or maybe I don't have to contribute anything. Maybe I am just part of the system that works for right now while I'm here. But I do have those acorns, so I'm being a little bit extractive. And then I reach home and I find the backyard of Bruce's garden, and I put the acorns down in the dirt and I feed them. I don't want to tame them or take away their wildness, but I want to feed them as I feed myself, and I keep my wildness.
And take a deep breath. And let it out. And we'll put some notes in the chat box. And Angela, do you want to read the words?
Sure. From, let me see, from moving without worry to wild, wild, wildness. Yes. Point of balance, season of life, ecosystem, wildness. Ecosystems of wildness, running, acorns, vultures, wrinkles, seasons of life, train tracks, wisdom. I don't have to take flight to find safety. I feed them as I feed myself, poetry in motion.
Yes.
And we have loved the hairy blackberries, balancing bird, wildness. Will it land or take flight? My wildness and the seasons of the berries and your life. Angela, worry? No way. You don't have to fly away to be safe. We are, and bring acorns to the parallel play. Yeah, yay, celebrating your wildness and your quail call. Feed your wildness, 7 perfect acorns. I am part of the ecosystem, wonderful embracing of wildness. Such a wonderfully expressive body telling and supporting your story. Running bird dance. I saw you were all those beautiful birds, connected with all. I love the sense of rewilding. I felt it in my own body with your beautiful descriptions. Yes, the quail call. Love the connection to the ecosystem and celebration of your wildness. Sometimes it's okay for me to hide too. Acorns laying to rest in the garden, feeding myself. Majestic turkey vultures. Beautifulness. California raisins? Acornic raisins?
Well, thank you for all those comments. Maryellen, I don't know if people have identified themselves, those who are watching it.
Phil, we're going to thank Angela for her.
Thank you, Angela, for your story. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, people are identifying themselves as well.
Would you like to just call out a few names?
Sure. Karen Hatch, Eileen Cow, Amy Fuldesi, Harriet Platts, Leora Weitzman, Judith Valerie, M. Paul, Mesopotamia Lefay, Greg Newswanger, Bruce Grossi, just to name a few.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for all of you who came to witness and to comment. Thank you for your wonderful words as well. We have 3 more of these planned. And Maryellen, I don't know if you have at your fingertips the dates.
Yeah, next
Could you just share those?
Thursday, October 13th will be the next one. Let me get the time here. It's at 2 p.m. Pacific and 5 p.m. Eastern. And the following is Wednesday the 19th at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And then last one is on Monday the 24th. It's at 2 p.m. Pacific and 5 p.m. Eastern.
Great. And maybe we could just go around the circle of 6 and just say our names and where we're located. I'm Phil Porter. I'm in Oakland, California. Just jump in.
Yeah, I'm Celia Swanson. I'm in St. Paul, Minnesota.
I'm Angela Urata, and I'm in Oakland, California.
I'm Randy Newswanger, today in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
I'm Jennifer Denning. I'm here in the land of the Muskogee Creek people, now called Atlanta.
And I'm Maryellen May, and I'm in Bloomington, Indiana.
So thank you to all our storytellers. So great to have you in the circle. And thank you, Maryellen, for helping us with this. And we'll look forward to future ones with some different storytellers. Randy and I will be involved in each one. We'll have some different storytellers as we go along. And these videos will be posted on the YouTube channel if you subscribe to the channel. Actually, you don't have to be subscribed to the channel to watch the videos, but that's where you can find them. InterPlay Big Body Stories. So thanks again for coming, and we hope to see you soon. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the